Some people are moving away from Salem, Oregon, and only after having lived here for 1 or 2 years. And some people stay long term. But maybe learning why people move away from Salem, Oregon will be just as helpful as learning why people move to this city in the first place. And some of these items on the list catch people off guard, and they don't really meet the expectations, and that's a big reason why people end up moving. So in this video, I'm going to go over the top reasons why people move away from Salem shortly after moving here, or even why some of the locals end up leaving the city. And it's not that any of these items on the list are necessarily bad, they're just different. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you why most people end up staying, including myself and my family who relocated here about 4 or 5 years ago, and why we love calling Salem, Oregon our new home. The first reason why people end up leaving Salem, Oregon is because of the cost of housing. Now, you may be moving here from a higher price market, but a lot of people compare Salem, Oregon housing prices to places like Portland, Seattle, those two cities in the Pacific Northwest, and other West Coast cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. And by those standards, Salem, Oregon is highly affordable as far as housing goes. But when you compare it to the national median home price, it actually sits a little above that number, which is $450,000. And home prices have jumped significantly since the pre-pandemic pricing. In 2019, the median price was right around $300,000, and now sitting in 2026, we're just a little above $450,000. And that's a significant jump in that amount of time period. And that's considering the entire city of Salem, Oregon. However, when a lot of people move to Salem, Oregon, they talk about and bring up areas like South Salem and West Salem. And those median prices are even more. South Salem median home price is around $600,000. And when you consider West Salem, you're about $560,000. So that's even more of a considerable jump over the city median price of that $450,000 range. So for those that have moved to Salem, Oregon, renting at first with the intention of buying a home later, they've just seen the price go up year after year, making it out of reach. And that's why a lot of people end up leaving Salem, Oregon and moving to other states entirely, places like Arizona and Texas, where there's just a lot more affordable pricing and a lot more choices as far as housing goes. And as more and more people move to Salem, Oregon, creating a higher demand, those prices are just going to continue to go up. Yes, there are new construction projects, residential projects that are being built, being more housing, but it's still trying to keep up with the demand of people that are coming to the city in the first place. Now, if you're moving from a higher price city like my family and I did, we moved from Los Angeles, California, these prices look like a deal. And from my perspective, they were a deal. But I know a lot of people that I've helped move here and they're considering moving here because they feel like it's going to be more affordable than some of those other big cities along the West Coast. Just keep in mind, if you're comparing it to other cities across the nation, you're going to be right in line with that national median home price. Now, of course, if you're considering moving to Salem and buying a home, you've got to have some sort of income, and that leads us to the number 2 reason of why people end up leaving Salem, Oregon, and that is the limited job market that we have here. The private sector does exist, but it is very small. And when you compare the job market here in Salem to Portland or Seattle, it just doesn't compare at all. And because we have such a smaller job market here, it just makes finding that job a lot more tougher. And especially if you've moved here and decide to change career paths, or maybe you unfortunately lose a job, then it's just going to be that much more challenging finding a job in that particular sector that you may be working in. The 3 major job sectors that we do have here in Salem, Oregon is going to be government, healthcare, and education. When we talk about government, Salem is the capital of Oregon. So you've got the Capitol building itself. You've got a lot of state, federal, and local government jobs and facilities right here in Salem. So if you are in that industry, you definitely have a lot to choose from. And if you're in the healthcare industry, well, Salem does have a major hospital in Salem Health, but there's also a lot of auxiliary healthcare profession opportunities, a lot of offshoots and branches that support the general healthcare institutions that we have here. And a lot of these supportive healthcare branches do provide quite a bit of opportunities here in the city. And I mentioned education as a big employer here. We've got Willamette University, which is a private university here in Salem, Corbin University, another private institution. We've got a community college in Chemeketa Community College. And we have the Salem Kaiser School District covering grades K through 12 with a lot of elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools for opportunities, whether you're going to be a teacher or someone in the administrative and supportive roles. But you will notice those 3 industries, government, healthcare, and education, are also very highly supported by government institutions, government funding. Again, not really a big private sector portion as far as the economy goes here in Salem. I do see a lot of people who end up commuting to Portland or Beaverton because that's just where the industry is for them for their careers. Now, there is a big draw for the remote worker to Salem, Oregon. A lot of people, especially during the pandemic times, were finding ways to get out of the big city, get out of that rush, get out of the craziness of what large cities provide, and they wanted a slower pace and something with more being surrounded by nature. And that's why a lot of people ended up flocking to Salem. They were able to keep their jobs and a lot of times keep their income from these larger cities and just enjoy more of a peaceful, slower paced life here in Salem. So if you are a remote worker, there are some great opportunities for you here in Salem, especially if you're trying to escape those higher priced cities where even with that good high paying job, when you're living in a place like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, and so forth, still buying a house could be out of reach. Then you move to Salem and it is very much within grasp. And as someone who has relocated with my family to the city of Salem, Oregon, I understand a lot of what you're going through, and that's why I do these videos. As a reminder, I am Dave Fine with eXp Realty, a local real estate agent here. And if you're thinking about buying a home when moving to Salem, Oregon, hit me up at the contact information popping up or in the description below. Thankfully, in the last 4 or 5 years since we've moved here, my expectations have been met. But again, a lot of people have certain expectations and they get here and they're severely disappointed. And that leads us to number 3, which is the lack of amenities and kind of the shopping experience that we have here. Some people come here thinking it's going to be a mini Portland or some sort of trendy city because it's in Oregon. That's just not the case here. And it's not just the people that move here after 1 or 2 years with those expectations. It's even locals who are just desiring more and they end up leaving Salem because it's just not providing what they need. We do have some shopping malls here. We have an indoor mall, but it's defunct and kind of going through revitalization or trying to. We have an outdoor shopping center in the Willamette Town Center that has some of our big box shopping. We've got Kaiser Station, which is a newer outdoor shopping experience with big box shopping. But if you're looking for those higher end shops or those trendy shops, that we just don't have that here. And frankly, I don't know if the city of Salem would support something like that anyway. Even though we have a lot of people moving in from the big cities, they're kind of escaping that type of lifestyle and wanting a little bit more of something that's more peaceful, more practical. So I'm not sure if we're ever going to get that experience. And unfortunately, some of the shops that open up here, they close shortly after they open just because they're not necessarily getting the support that they need to keep their business going. And it's interesting because anecdotally, I talk to a lot of people in my business and I hear a lot of people wanting certain things, shopping experiences. Really, to get more choice in your shopping experience, you're going to have to do some driving, maybe go to the outlets in Woodburn, or even just head up into Portland or Tigard. They've got a number of malls out there and outdoor shopping centers, and just again, that different vibe, the higher end, the more trendy experience, the more newer shopping experience. You're just going to have to drive to get it. Now, that's not a big deal in my family's life. Sometimes we want to do it. We go out there to Portland a few times a year just to get that in. 45 minutes to an hour and we're there. It's not that big of a deal to commute to, but some people end up highly disappointed after moving here because they're just not getting that experience right there in the city that they live in. The interesting thing is, when I think about the choices, and again, I came from Los Angeles, I had a ton of choices. It was almost like an illusion of choice. I found my spots that I really liked in the big city that I lived in, and I would just frequent those. Yeah, I liked trying other spots, but for the most part, I was going to those same places over again. So when I came here, I thought I was going to have that withdrawal or miss that experience. And the reality is I found the places that I like here and I just go back to them because I like them. If I need something a little different, a little bit more trendy or higher end or that type of experience, I'll drive, an hour to get there. As long as I don't have to live in that big city feel or that type of trendiness, I'm good. If I want to visit it, that I can do. Now, this next topic we're going to get into is a big reason why people move away. It was one of the main reasons that people warned me not to move to Salem, Oregon, or the Pacific Northwest in general, and that is the weather. I can't tell you how many times I hear about people moving away from Salem, moving away from Oregon, because they are tired of the gray skies and the rain that we get here, and they are just seeking sunshine. I can understand that. I moved from sunny Southern California, where we had 300 days of sun, if not more. I loved it. It's what I grew up in. This was a big change for me, and it was a shock to my system at first. My first fall and winter here was a bit much, but we got over it, we got through it, and now I'm used to it, and I actually enjoy the different weather that we have here in Salem. But for people that move here who are just not quite prepared, they're here for their first fall and winter, a second one, and it's just not meeting what they need, they end up leaving. Or a lot of people who have been here for a long time, locals, they're just tired of it and they want something different. So weather is a huge factor of why people end up leaving this city. And it's really not the extreme weather. We don't have extreme weather here like we do in other parts of the country. It's really just the consistency that gets to people. We have consistent gray skies and consistent rain for about half the year. That doesn't mean the sun doesn't come out. That doesn't mean we have some warmer days. But without sugarcoating it, you could have days, if not, a week of just straight gray. And it's really the gray that gets to people more so than the rain. We have a light rain, it's kind of Oregon rain, we call it. It's like a mist, just damp. But it's really the gray skies. When you don't get that sun that breaks through for a while, it can get to people. And as I said, it got to me at first. But again, I've now come to just enjoy and embrace the seasons that we have and make the best of it. The way I've adjusted to it is really just a mindset change. I've come to embrace it because I know this rain and all the water that we get here brings out the beautiful nature that surrounds us here in Salem. It's why spring and summer are just awesome here. And so I'm looking at it from a different point of view. But for some people, they're just not able to handle it. They get seasonal depression, and it's understandable. A lot of people end up moving from Salem or Oregon, and they're going to places like Arizona, Nevada, and Texas, where it's a lot sunnier, still more affordable than places like Southern California. Now, for me, the heat gets to me more than the rain and the gray skies. I used to love the heat, used to bake in the heat. I just got back from Arizona and it was 90 degrees in springtime. I can't imagine being there during the summer. There's just no way I want to bake outside like that. But for some people, they just need that and they want it, and they're maybe tired of what we have here, and so they go seek that out. I did say we don't get extreme weather here in Salem, but I should mention a couple times a year, 1 or 2 times a year, we'll get some snow that sticks for a couple days in different parts of Salem. So just be prepared for that. Again, not a huge deal and not extreme. You're not getting snowed in or anything like that. But I did want to mention that just in case, so you're not caught off guard. We also get some sort of inversion here when it comes to weather. We get the cold pressure in the atmosphere that keeps it cold here. And then produces kind of a dense fog in certain areas of Salem. So again, nothing super extreme, and it's not that like that stuff lasts forever during the fall and winter, but just to be prepared for. The next reason why people move away from Salem, Oregon, and this is one of the reasons why I almost decided not to move to Salem, Oregon, was the pace of life here. Now, it's kind of weird I say that because I wanted a slower pace than what I was used to in Los Angeles. I just didn't know if I can personally handle it. And a lot of people who end up moving here and leaving after a year or two are people that thought they wanted that slower pace but realized that's just not for them. And then you have people that have born and raised here that are just tired of that. They want something more. They haven't experienced that hustle, that grind, and that pace of a big city, and they end up leaving for that. When people move here, they see the small, quaint, charming downtown area, which I believe it is. But for some people, it's just too small. The reality is it's only really 4 square blocks when it comes to the entertainment, shopping, and dining experience of the downtown area. The rest of it's made up of more of the government buildings. And so that could feel really small to a lot of people. And as I mentioned before, there's just not a lot of that retail and that shopping experience. But more than that, it's if you're someone that's looking for entertainment in the evenings, a big nightlife, we just don't have that here. A lot of places close early, 8, 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock would be late here. Places don't even open up on certain random days during the week. It's just that type of town. We do have various venues and different concert venues and theater venues. They're just a lot smaller compared to big venues that you're going to find in cities like Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and so forth, or any really big major city. We just don't have that. You're not going to have that experience here. So for a lot of people like myself who move from these large cities thinking that they're ready for that small pace, they're just not. And they end up missing that lifestyle. It was a weird adjustment for my family and I. When I moved here, I really wanted that slow pace, but I did feel uncomfortable. It was weird to have less congestion. It was weird to have more space. I wasn't used to going places without struggling finding for parking or going to different events and not being shoulder to shoulder. I wasn't used to that space. It was odd because I know I wanted it, but I just needed some time to adjust. Ultimately, I did, and I'm glad I did because I knew in my mind that's what I wanted. I'm so much more at peace, so much less stressed now that I live here outside of a big city. I wouldn't trade that. And at the same time, I completely understand why people would want something more fast paced. I get it because I used to live in that, and I get for people who just can't adjust, or for people that haven't experienced that, I get why they would want it now. Now, let's talk about why people end up staying in Salem, why people love Salem, Oregon. People love the strong community feel here that we have in Salem. This was a big surprise for me, a very welcome surprise. I wanted more of a sense of community when moving to Salem. I just didn't know that we were going to achieve it, and thankfully we did. There are so many community events and activities that happen throughout this city, whether they're put on by the city itself or private entities and organizations. And it really brings everyone together, whether we're talking about the State Fair or Ironman, Ag Fest, Forest Fest, Saturday Market, fall festivities, whatever it is, so many people show up for this. And you're going to see your friends and your neighbors, the same people that you would see at one event, you're going to see at another event, the art festival, the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and so much more. Movies in the park, concerts in the park. There's just so much of that community vibe here, and I absolutely love it. I wasn't used to that. I had all these events at my fingertips in Los Angeles, any big city, all the big venues, but I never felt it brought the community together. It felt very disjointed. It would take forever for me to get to these places. They were so congested, I couldn't even enjoy the entire event itself, where I just felt so claustrophobic, didn't have that space and that peace of mind to enjoy the event. And it's a great thing here, and I think that's what keeps a lot of people here. I don't think a lot of people are aware of how much goes on before they move here, but once you move here and immerse yourself in a lot of these events and community activities, it really makes you realize how important community is here in Salem. This was a big draw for my family and I, the central location. We didn't even know how central we were until we lived here for about a year or so, and that is just when we realized we were so close to everything. We are only about an hour away from coastal access, and if you haven't been to the Oregon coast, I highly recommend it. It is beautiful. Some of the best coastline that I've ever experienced, and so much to do along that coast, especially if you're into nature, hiking, and just wanting those small little coastal communities and that feel. Salem's just an hour away. If you're into the mountains and that type of lifestyle, again, about an hour and a half or so to the foothills, and about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and you're up above the peaks. And you can do anything from camping and hiking to fishing, playing in the lakes and skiing, and so much more. It's just an awesome thing that you can be. You're basically right in between the coast and the Cascade Mountains. You can see the Cascade Mountain Range from Salem, pretty much from anywhere in the city. Seeing those snow-capped mountains is just beautiful. Again, I mentioned if you're in need of that big city life, we're about an hour away from Portland. So again, you don't have to live in that type of city, but you can also enjoy it. About an hour away and you're in Portland, and you can have everything that you want that a big city has to offer. And if you want more of that kind of that college, university, artsy feel, about an hour and a half south of us, that's Eugene. Easy to get to, easy straight shot commute. And so when you really look at Salem, we are central to all sorts of activities and events, and everything that Oregon has to offer is right there, kind of in our backyard, so to speak. Another reason why people stay and end up loving Salem is it's just less congestion. And I mentioned that earlier, but you really feel it. It is such a sense of relief. It's less stressful, and I just embrace that, and I love that so much, especially if you are someone coming from a larger city or just a place that's more highly congested. I can't tell you how much it affects my daily life when I'm running errands or getting my kids somewhere. I'm not plotting and planning on what my route's going to be. Yeah, we get a little bit of traffic during the morning and the evenings, but it is nothing like big city traffic. And that's from my personal experience from living in Los Angeles and from a lot of traveling. Salem is just a much slower, quieter, less congested place, and people really embrace that. I had no idea how much traffic and congestion really affected my daily life and my daily mood until I moved here to Salem, Oregon. Another reason why people end up staying in Salem is almost contradictory to this first item of why people leave Salem, and that is the cost of housing. People are realizing that Salem is a great city to be in on the West Coast that is just so much more affordable than other West Coast cities like Seattle, Portland, Bend, San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego, you name it, all up and along the West Coast. Salem is still much more affordable than any of those cities, and you can still have everything you want here in the city. It's also a big draw for a lot of people that are moving from those cities. Even like my family and I, we saw what a certain amount of money got us in Los Angeles versus what it got us in Salem, and it was just no comparison. And again, because we were ready to change our lifestyle, it was a no-brainer for us regarding moving here and taking advantage of the cost of housing. Again, it's all perspective, but again, I help a lot of people move from larger cities, so it's a perspective that people have when moving to Salem, Oregon. So while some people end up moving away for the reasons I mentioned above, a lot of people end up staying in Salem, Oregon. I know I'm going to be one of them. I love that we made the decision to move here. You're thinking about making the move here. If you're thinking about buying a house, make sure you hit me up at the contact information popping up. I'm Dave Fine, local real estate agent. I know what you're going through. I do these videos so you have a better understanding of the lifestyle here. Check out the ones that are popping up right now to give you even more insight to what life is like here in Salem, Oregon.